All right, good evening. Welcome to the Committee of the Whole meeting of the City of Sandwich. Today is August 4th, time being 7 p.m. Meeting is called to order. Will Carson Erickson please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Karsta. All right, I will skip the mayor's report and go on to the attorney report. Oh, yeah, hey, how about roll call? I just already wrote down there was a quorum present. I guess that was good enough. Sorry about that.
Alderman Arnett,
Here.
Alderman Chun,
Here.
Alderman Danko,
Here.
Alderwoman Erickson.
Here.
Alderwoman Inman.
Here.
Alderman Ketchum.
Here.
Alderman Kreinbrink.
Here.
Alderman Robinson.
Here. Okay, good. Now I do have a report. I did check with our engineers. We're at 19% of the construction that's taking place on North Main Street. So the weather's been good. Still have a few things the chief will talk about some of the drivers in town, but I think overall they've made good progress. Attorney Gottschalk,
I don't have anything at this time.
Clerk E,
No report.
Treasurer Kohler. City Administrator is not here tonight. He is off. EMA report. Tony?
No updates, thank you.
Chief Stenny, police report.
Okay, just do some catch up for some things since I wasn't at the last meeting. For community engagement, we attended Johnny K's Cruise Nights. We also attended a ribbon cutting ceremony. We conducted a walk and talk in the Sandhurst area, a lunch and learn. We went to the baseball tournament that was going on a couple weeks ago, where we handed out some popsicles. We visited the splash pad where some kids from the park district were there. We also handed out some popsicles there. Attended the movie in the park, and then we also attended the Moose Lodge event this past weekend too. Just going to bring us up a little conversation about our explorers. So our police explorers are going to be competing on this Saturday, August 9th, in a competition in Elmhurst. This was a result of their performance that they did at that competition that I talked about earlier this year in Elgin, so they were invited to that competition. Some personnel updates. The background investigation has begun on the lateral officer. He had his interview with the Police and Fire Commission almost 2 weeks ago, and they moved him on to the next process, so he has began his background. Just to kind of give us a direction on that, if everything tracks well during that background, we'll be looking to potentially hire this individual either the second or third week of September. With that hire, that would actually bring us back up to full staff. Officer Hanson is now in his 4th week of field training. I actually talked with his field training officer today. He is progressing well, which is good. Some grants and funding. Just want to let you guys all know that the city applied for a social worker grant through the DeKalb County Mental Health Board. If we are awarded that grant, that will allow us to physically have somebody at our police department, social worker-wise, 1 to 2 days a week. That's going to be a pilot program that we're going to do to hopefully be able to expand that. That's based on, for those that aren't familiar, there actually are social workers that are on a grant through DeKalb County Mental Health Board right now. Some of them, one is stationed full-time at the DeKalb Police Department because they actually pay for that in particular social worker to be there. The city pays for her to be there. And then the other 2 are split between they're housed at the Sycamore Police Department or they're housed at the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. The goal for us is to be able to bring one of them down here 1 to 2 days a week. And then they'll be following up with our detective on some of the cases that we have to minimize our repeat calls to make sure people are getting the help that they need right off the bat. That grant will be, its first reading or its first time up will be September 2nd, and then they'll vote on it on September 15th to let us know if we're going to have that. We're looking to replace 12 of the computers at the station, which was in the budget. That's actually downsizing from what we need. We took a look, we analyzed what we were, and we identified 12 computers in which we needed to replace there. The body camera bill came through the Finance Committee. Once that check is cut, we actually received a grant last year. I will be looking to resubmit that amount of money to see what that grant will cover, so we should be getting some funds back through the grant that we have on the body camera for that. And then just kind of look forward thinking, we're looking to be applying for a grant in October through Firehouse Subs. They offer grants to police department. One of the things that we're looking to potentially use that grant for is for additional equipment in our weight room. Which, speaking of that, the progress has begun in updating our weight room. Today, we actually received a donation of dumbbells ranging from 5 pounds all the way up to 55 pounds. And we had previously received a donation of a flat bench press machine in our weight room, so we're piecing that together slowly but surely here. Currently, we're also evaluating to look to replace the station's generator. I had a meeting today with a company to kind of try to get where our specs are and what we need to do that. Hoping to be able to bring something back to you guys in the end of September, maybe beginning of October, because there's about a 25 to 30 week delay to actually get the generator once it's ordered. Main Street construction, as the mayor talked about, just a little snapshot of that, just kind of bring you guys what we've seen from the police department or what we've been doing out there. So far, since the construction has started, we've had 2 traffic crashes out there. We've conducted 6 community contacts. We received 1 driving complaint. We also received 3 informational calls pertaining to that in particular area. And we've conducted 69 extra patrols and have effective 19 traffic stops in that area in the last, it's been roughly a month since that project has begun. Just some reminders here. National Night Out is tomorrow from 6 to 8, Johnny Case parking lot, so please join us. Will be a dunk tank out there. I will be in the dunk tank for a period of time. Haven't decided how long, but I'm sure my son will fight me for it because he enjoyed being in there last year. And then I gave you guys the monthly report. I just want to kind of highlight a couple things in the monthly report, just kind of notice the training that we are attending. So a lot of this training that we're attending, some of this training is training that we want to be able to bring back to the police department. So a lot of our people that are going, they're actually becoming instructors. And that'll allow us the ability to be able to actually do some of this training at our police department without having to send officers to the training. Some very good training has actually happened there during the month. The monthly training, so we got issued our TASER 10, so they went through, all the officers went through scenarios. They also some of them conduct an active shooter building searches throughout the police department there. And then just want to kind of, there's just a couple significant incidents that are listed on there on our cases that we had for the month. Some other things too, just on there, we had 13 FOIA requests that were processed during the month of June. And then just some personnel updates on there. Officer Hagelin has transferred he went from day shift A to, he was transferred to day shift A, so he now is supervised by Sergeant Whitecotton. And then Officer Rominski was then moved to detective, so he's back in our detective division. And the other thing, just want to point out that 83% of June's call volume was proactive. Talked about that on a continual basis. Does that mean that's us generating the calls for service, us being out there? And then for the year, 78% of our call volume up to date has been proactive on that. And then when I just if you look at the individual statistics that are there, there's nothing out of the ordinary. You'll see some dips between months, but some of that is just because some of the other activities that we're doing, and then some of these arrests that we have, sometimes some of the arrests take a longer period of time. If there's any questions on the monthly report, feel free to ask me now or reach out to me later time. I have a couple thank you letters I'd like to read real quick. The first one is for Officer Rominski. It was on May 25th. It's actually for Officer Rominski and Sergeant Whitecotton. On May 25th of 2025, Sergeant Whitecotton and Officer Rominski were dispatched to 3 separate addresses for multiple burglaries. Sergeant Whitecotton obtained video footage from one of the incidents which showed 3 individuals involved. The offenders were subsequently identified. Sergeant Whitecotton and Officer Rominski arranged for the 3 juveniles to come to the station for interviews. All 3 juveniles were interviewed and admitted to their involvement in the burglaries. The items stolen were recovered and returned to the rightful owners, including the U.S. Air Force flag that had been used in the funeral of a fallen U.S. soldier. The juveniles were charged accordingly. Congratulations to a job well done on those 2. This one's for Officer Dwyer. This happened on April 3rd. On April 3rd, 2025, Officer Dwyer attempted to stop a vehicle for a traffic violation. The vehicle fled from Officer Dwyer and he terminated the pursuit as per policy. Officer Dwyer was able to obtain the license plate and continued his investigation to identify the driver. Officer Dwyer, through interviews and investigation, was able to obtain a felony warrant for the offender. Congratulations to Officer Dwyer for a job well done. The offender eventually did turn himself in on that case too, so it's still pending. And the last one I'll read is for Officer Lundstein. This one happened on June 25th. On June 25th, Officer Lundstein attempted to stop a vehicle for multiple traffic violations. The vehicle fled from Officer Lundstein and he terminated the pursuit as per our policy. Later, while assisting LaSalle County Sheriff's Office on a call, Officer Lundstein gained information which identified his driver of the vehicle that had fled from him. Officer Lundstein was able to put the case together, which led to felony approval of charges for the offender and seizure of his vehicle. Congratulations to Officer Lundstein for a job well done. And then, just to kind of close here, I want to remind everybody of the city's website, or the police department's website, lots of great information on there, and then also the dashboard, which will show where our calls are happening. And then lastly, as I always like to close, I want to thank the officers for all of their continued hard work and their dedication to the city.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Chief Senni? All right, that's great work, Chief. I appreciate it. All right, engineer report, Mr. Depp will be here on the 18th. Are there any items that council would like for him to discuss at that time? Okay. All right, council reports. Alderman Arnett.
I just want to let everybody know the Sunset Lift Station that we had approved will be rebuilt in the next couple days, so.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Chun.
Yeah, I just got a couple things. The streets department, the spray patching has started as of Thursday. Brush pickup that was going on today was not finished and it will resume on Wednesday. They got a little behind on stuff. Nick wanted to give the heads up for the DeKalb maintenance program. That bill will be coming due soon. I don't know about it because I wasn't here for it, but I guess it's budgeted or something like that, so. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Danko.
A couple things. It came to my attention, we had some, over in Ward 2, they had rust in the water, and some of the residents experienced, I guess during the Main Street construction, they hit a line and they did a live patch, but I think it stirred up a lot of sediment. And then I guess there was a fire over by Green Street and they cracked open a hydrant and that stirred up more rust in the line. They did do a check and there was no health risk. They didn't feel the need to do a boil order, but that should all settled out by now. So keep an eye out and see if we get any more reports on rust in the water. The other thing I had in your committee of the whole, there was an ordinance 200504. It's a 20-year-old ordinance regarding no parking on Cindy Lane from Lyons down to Sunset. They had a resident come up and ask if we would entertain taking down those no parking signs because it interferes with his daytime activity of friends and whatnot during the school year. I think it was a problem 20 years ago, but when the school took down the tennis courts, they have plenty of parking and doesn't seem, and since attendance is down by half than it was 20 years ago, want the council to entertain that we'd remove those no parking signs.
Okay, before we do that, I'd ask the chief just to review any issues we've had there. Have we checked with the school administration all to see if
I
there's
have not
agreement?
checked with the school administration. Kevin and I talked about it a couple months ago, but I don't know how far we got to look into it. If you had any calls there? Okay,
No, we have.
okay.
Okay, I just asked that we check the records and then check with the school so we don't do something that they might disagree with. I know that the tennis courts did expand their parking, but I don't know if they still require a pass and people are parking there to avoid getting a pass. So
I
think-
will take it on myself. I'll check with the school, not a
Okay,
problem.
yep, then we can come back for discussion.
Okay.
Right, thank you. Alderwoman Erickson,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Alderwoman Inman,
Nothing, thank you.
Alderman Ketchum,
Nothing tonight.
Alderman Kreinbrink.
The only thing I'd like to do is recognize Sergeant White Cotton and Detective Rominski. On Saturday, there was a structure fire on Green Street, and I was the first one on the scene, and those two were in action, putting water on the fire, working with the residents, and that actually stopped the fire from spreading. So, Chief, I probably should have talked when you were talking, but I thought it would be good to talk about it again in a separate point, but they did a fantastic job. And I think that if they weren't there to assist the homeowners there, that probably would have been a bigger situation than what we were dealing with. So nice job to those two.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Anything else?
That's all, sir.
Alderman Robinson?
I was just gonna mention that, I know our street department's been busy, playing catch-up, especially with the water department, doing things with the, hydrants and, flushing and things like that. And because of that, a few weeks ago when we had the storm, I know we were unable to do some, brush pickup, from the storm specifically. And, I had a resident contact me, when it happened, and I told them that we do pick up for the storm. At least that's what we've always done in the past, and reached out and found out that they've been unable to do it because they've been busy, and so they're being told that they're not gonna get the pickup until their turn this month, normal brush pickup, which is, it would be 2 more weeks from today, so. I know they're busy, but I think we should still go back to the other thing as far as being able to help out with that rather than making somebody wait. It's totally different than somebody just cutting down their own brush and putting it out, and they don't want their grass to die, et cetera, but this was a storm that brought down. So I just thought I'd mention it. Like I said, I know they're busy, but maybe we could figure something else out with them. I talked a little bit, Matt, about it, but I'm only bringing it up because I told the resident that I would bring it up. But like I said, I just spoke to Matt a little bit ago, and maybe see if things are slow, or while they're doing the other brush pickup, if they can maybe get over to that other ward and pick up from that storm. That's the only one I was aware of, so I wanted to bring it up.
Okay, anything else, Rich?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to old business. Item A, discuss some possible changes to the personnel policy related to travel expenses, specifically meal reimbursement and new rates. So there was some additional language that was added on page 10 of 25 of the personnel policy. It's for council to discuss or see if you're in agreement with what's been placed in there. I know Chris, our interns, worked on that. Some of that language came out of the department, the state of Illinois' requirements, so we kind of mirrored some of that, so we're consistent with what a larger government body would do. So it adds a couple of things about things that we won't pay for, some limitations on tipping, when our personnel will leave and when they're eligible for meals, in regards to the report time. So we did specifically break that down by breakfast, lunch, and dinner with additional information. So that's for council to review, discuss. And then if you are ready, then you could pass that on the regular agenda.
I've got some comments on that.
Yes.
One, I think we need to have the amount in our personnel ordinance because it needs to be spelled out with the amount. We had it in the ordinance before. I don't have any problem with it still talking about the GSA, et cetera, but I think we need the amounts in there, specifically since we're going from the $45 to $63. Needs to list out breakfast at 16, lunch at 19, and the dinner at 28.
I think that was in the ordinance, but it hasn't been placed in the policy yet.
And I think, if
But
I may,
agree with you, it does need to be consistent.
I think the idea was that by not putting it in there, it would stay current with if the change was made, and then based on where someone was going.
I think we need to be pretty specific, and I would prefer to have it listed and not rely on whatever, whenever the federal government is changing their thing. I'd rather change it to when the city of Sandwich says that we're gonna do something. Again, that's just my opinion, but I would rather it spelled out specifically. I still have a concern, brought up a couple of weeks ago, as far as the, couple hours prior to the start of their regular workday. I think it should still remain for an overnight stay is the only time that they're gonna be getting the breakfast or reimbursed for the breakfast. And again, I think it's a problem with the wording, Because when you talk about 2 hours prior to the start of their regular workday, their regular workday might be completely different than what their workday is gonna be for this training or this seminar. So again, since we go by what it says, I think we should strike the at least 2 hours prior to the regular reporting time, and it should just remain the way it was for an overnight stay.
I agree with Rich on that, because we talked earlier, when I used to work in Chicago doing construction, I would always leave work or leave home a couple hours early to avoid traffic anyways. At the 2 hours we have listed, my boss would been buying me breakfast every morning. So 2 hours, I think, is far too small. Either it gets extended to 3, 4 hours or overnight stay, but I think 2 hours is too small.
Okay. Other comments on the policy?
I agree with them. I think it should be that it's like you were saying, an overnight stay.
And I agree, we should put the dollar amounts back in and not go off the government website.
I agree with the overnights, just overnight only.
Okay, anyone else?
I think my take on this is we're making some changes, right? So change is gonna, it takes sometimes a little bit to go. So if we make small little steps along the way, we'll be better in the long run. Just one takeaway is if you put, you know, the city of Sandwich in, this, which I just did, it's $63 for those 3 meals. If you put Chicago in there, it's $87. So those are those things that's why the GSA is actually used, is so that it's specific to the location that you're going. So would it be fair to say that if there was travel outside of Illinois, then that you use that? Because like if there's training in Colorado, California, it's gonna cost a lot more to do it. So then that way it's fair and equitable to the employee to go. I just don't wanna shortchange them if and when that opportunity presents itself.
I'd rather address it when that time and opportunity comes up, because there's not a lot of people who are traveling out of state for training.
It just happened not too long ago.
I understand that, but that was sending 2 people for the Axon body cameras, correct?
Yeah.
For the training, so I understand that. They turned in their information perfectly as far as for the meal reimbursements. They abided by what the personnel policy said.
I understand it.
Good.
I just wanted to throw that out there, that there is a cost difference when you end up going to a different location. I mean, within Illinois, I think you could make that work, right? I was just thinking if you were to travel outside the state, you know, you could run into a situation. So you could put something not to even say, or I guess you could just have it say that it has to, you know, be pre-approved or will be considered. Because I mean, the dollar amount could fluctuate pretty significantly.
Yeah, we added a couple years ago a pre-travel document they have to fill out to get approval, so maybe that's the proper place if they're gonna be out of state. Can run through one of the committees just to get pre-approval. If it's a different per diem rate. Okay, so if you have any specific language that you like to see, send that in, just so we're clear of what the language would be that you'd like.
I just want that other language taken out, and I think it would be fine.
Okay. Okay. Then we won't vote on it tonight, because it sounds like there's enough consensus. We need to work on it a little bit more. So when that comes up, you can either move to consider it or just let it sit or table it. Okay, lead service line.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I had one more comment about the dinner part. And I don't know if this was in there previous or if this is a new part or not, but where it talks about are either away from the city for the evening meal or do not return until after the normal dinner hour, and no meal was provided as part of the conference, seminar, or other approved event. You know, if somebody has a training seminar, you know, and it's a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever, and if it's 8 to 4 and it's in Evanston, you're not gonna be home leaving Evanston at 4 o'clock in the afternoon until after the dinner hour. So I again don't think that that is correct either. If you work a little bit later at work, I think you're gonna eat dinner a little bit later when you get home. That's what you would do on your normal shift if you're held over. So I would think if otherwise having it be that way again, someone has to figure out what the normal dinner hour is, because as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, if you've got kids or grandkids in sports, your normal dinner hour during that time might be 8, 9 o'clock at night. If it's just the two of you at home, you're retired, your dinner hour could be 4:15 in the afternoon, bedtime at 8. So again, I think that leaves it wide open.
Isn't that the way the language reads now?
Again, I said I don't know if it does or not.
Yeah, so it says if the dinner will be reimbursed when personnel are away from the city or either away from the city for an evening meal or do not return until after the normal hour or no meal was provided as part of their conference, seminar, or other approved event. So it does give them the
That
meal.
was already in there. Sorry.
Again, we have not had anybody take advantage of that I'm aware of, which is great, but with the issues we've had in the last several months, hopefully the increased amounts take care of it, but I would hate to see somebody all of a sudden submitting a dinner because they're not getting home until 5:15. I'm just trying again to protect the city as far as reimbursing, because again, if it's left up to the supervisor, then it's gonna be that supervisor's discretion. And maybe the council as a whole wouldn't agree with that supervisor's inclination. Again, that's just my thought, so if people don't agree, that's fine. I just need to know what you're thinking.
Okay. All right, other comments? Okay, so the lead line, any other comments on the lead line? I know it's been something that we brought up before. I think when Kurt comes next week and Jeff's back, I think that's probably maybe a better time to have discussion, but it's on the agenda because it was a carryover from last meeting. Okay. Item C, discussion of the 50/50 sidewalk program. I know we talked about that as well. We had discussion. I think one of the things that'll be important when we have our next meeting, Kurt only comes once a month. Under our agreement is that we have a conversation. I think one of the things he was concerned about was the fact that we do a larger project at one time. In that project, we also include the sidewalks, and in the sidewalks, we also have all those engineered, and they're all ADA compliant. So I think his concern was with a lot of piecemeal projects, and that would be a little more difficult and maybe kind of go away from what we've had. So if you don't mind, let him come back and have the discussion, then we can move on and solve it. It's not gonna take effect this year anyway because it wasn't in our budget that way, but certainly we have time to get through the process and then make a decision for next year. Okay, electric vehicle charging stations. One of the last steps that we had was to finalize the location, and there was a question about discussion of fees and potential earnings. So I'll have Don come up from our economic development. All right, Don, when you're ready, go ahead.
So, ComEd's been back out. This transformer over here on Pearl Street meets all the needs that it's supposed to meet. Alderperson Inman asked me today about costs. There's no cost. Everything's paid for, including the units. Jeff and I had a meeting with ComEd about the billing and how we're gonna do that. There's a couple options. And what it came down to is the easiest, most effective option that EV drivers use is 1 hour method. So when they sign up, they get 1 hour. They can sign up for a second hour if they choose. It's simple in the way that they're in, they're out, the parking spot's not taken up. And the important thing is that we avoid that peak usage. So we keep that kilowatt down, which keeps our margin up. So those are the things that we decided on this week. Everything's clear to go. Any other questions, I guess?
Yes. I've read everything that was sent to us this time around. I still see nowhere where it clearly states that the chargers are included. I
We got
read
the-
every email she sent me.
Yeah, we've got it
Doesn't say in
this
there.
afternoon from ComEd that says everything is free. Alderperson Inman contacted me this afternoon about that. I sent that to her,
I read it all.
and it's there in the email I sent you at the end at 5:30.
The chargers aren't
Yeah, they're in there.
listed in there.
No, I'm telling you, the person from ComEd sent us an email at 5:30 to confirm that they are.
It just says that, ComEd is covering the full cost of the EV charger design, installation, and materials. You would only incur charges if any construction work is requested that goes beyond the recommended solution.
Because when we read the make-ready program that you sent us,
I forwarded the email at 5:34 from the director at ComEd, confirmed that charging units are included in the material costs
yes.
that
Here it is.
ComEd will cover.
I see that, there you go.
right, well,
So they're
that's,
covering everything, including the recurbing, the restructuring of the street, the meets handicap, everything. And the signage, oh, and the other thing is, will be placed on the Drive America app, which a lot of people have, but all EV drivers have it because it'll show that EV charging stations near me, Sandwich will come up.
okay, well, until I get that information, it's not something I would vote yes on. I want to see it in writing, so.
Well, you want me to forward it to you?
That's what I asked for at last meeting. I said I wanted to see every T crossed and every I dotted.
Well, you asked me about
I
the
want-
software. This has been, all right, here you go.
Okay, Adam, do you have other questions where we in the email?
Did you find the question on the Wi-Fi that the city's responsible supplying for these stations? Did they get back to you on that?
No, you just asked me about that.
I
when
know,
walked
but you
in
said you
today.
were checking when, before the meeting, so I just wondered if you got anything back.
I'll check.
Right, because my only question on that is if ComEd has smart meters,
Why
why
do
would
they
we
have
need
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi?
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Well, but they could attach to the building here, right? We can probably just work them off the building.
Well, what I'm saying is ComEd meters are smart meters that connect to their network anyways.
Yeah.
That's a different type of data stream, so this
Yeah.
is probably, the Wi-Fi is utilized for the point of sale for the credit card transactions.
Yep. It has to be a secure transmission because of the credit cards.
Okay, other questions for Don?
Yeah, we were looking on the return on investment numbers of what the city could possibly generate in funds with these meters. Because right now, if we went with the Class 2s, we're on the hook right now for $3,200 a year. If we can't cover this cost on our take, we have no idea what our markup is. Are we getting 10% of that sale? Are we getting 15% of that sale? None of those figures were provided. And until that's done, I'm not voting yes on this.
And like I say, we're going through the training with ComEd. It looks like our markup is 20%. And it's all based on how much revenue can we generate. Will the signage help? I've talked to a local car dealer. I talked to a car dealer not far from here. They're doing very well on it to cover their costs. That's all they want. Plus, they had the major investment to start with. You gave me the thing from Batavia where they paid, I think, $600,000 for 4 meters to be installed. They didn't take part in this program. They want to do it themselves. We found out in that meeting that some communities, and Plainfield's one of them, provides free electricity to draw people to the town, you know, as a draw. So we're not doing that. So we will be probably charging in the area, it looks like 12 to 14 cents per kilowatt to keep our 20%. You can't get it too high, but evidently in this charging business, that's kind of where it's at, what people expect to pay.
Okay, other questions from council?
Yeah, in our packet, we have a guide to wide-hour delivery class. And it looks like, for this example, for 1 month of charge details, they were charging like $7,500 a month. Where is these numbers in this packet coming from? I need an explanation. Are we being billed $7,000 a month?
I don't know what packet, what sheet you're looking for, I don't remember.
No, I printed it out. It's the packet that was sent with everything else. I
Those
need
are
an
the bills.
explanation what this is.
Those are the bills. Those are the potential bills, what they took off of various meters in the
Okay.
system.
They're billing us.
No, that's the money you collected,
No, it says charges. It doesn't say
Yeah,
collection.
just like on your electric bill at home. It says charges.
I don't think I'm comfortable with that answer. This does not make sense to me.
All right.
Okay, anyone else?
I just wanted to make a comment that on the news this evening, there was a direct report about this program and how it's benefiting our area and how municipalities, I think there were 17 that signed up immediately for it, and they're taking full advantage of it. So I think that Sandwich is, being a small community, looking forward, being forward-thinking on this aspect. There's people that park over there at Jovix and sitting there in their cars waiting for their chargers to charge because
and I
they
talk-
know that
yeah.
site is there.
I talked to the
So-
new owner of Jovix, last Thursday, and he said he's about $1,000 a month on
Yeah,
each
they're
charger.
constantly sitting
Yeah.
there. I drive by it
And
all
I
the
mentioned
time.
we were getting him, and he said he would promote us too, because he does have times of the day, where people are waiting in line. And he's also one that came up with the 1 hour. You can get them in, get them out, they get enough, charge in them, and it's quicker, and you keep them out of those peak hours, which is the bigger bill.
Right, so I mean, I guess if there was a way to just verify the possibility of like the Wi-Fi and how that would work, not necessarily with just this site, but if other sites are chosen, how would we get that signal?
I think that's gonna go through ComEd's meter, though.
Well,
That software has to
Yeah,
go
if
through
you,
ComEd.
if we could
because
just
it
verify
responds.
that, I think
I
that,
will.
I think that'd put some people at ease as to how
Yeah.
it's gonna go. I think that this is something that as it gets onto that system to where everybody can kind of see where they're gonna plot their routes, and they're gonna come a little bit further west, and they're gonna charge up, and they're gonna tool around here, and they're gonna go back east.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what I'm learning with, and I talked to a car dealer in the area that I live, and that's what he's finding out. They're choosing the 1 hour, because it's in, it's out, I can get done, I don't wanna be there for 2.5 hours.
Right.
One of the big grocery stores by us is changing out all their chargers, because they put the long-term ones in. Now they're changing it back, because they're finding out that's the trend today. I think it gets used more than we think,
Okay, so we'll get those answers to you. It'll be up for next.
If we wanna know about the software, how the meter talks to the credit card and back and forth.
Yep, with the Wi-Fi. Don had a question on the billing to see if that was charges
Yeah.
to us or to the user. And Adam wanted verification that there'd be no cost to us unless the construction work beyond what is proposed. Okay. Item E is the discussion on the craft fair. So our legal drafted an agreement that is before you to review with the feedback and comments. Once that's done by council, then it'll be forwarded to the foundation for them to review. And then we'll come back to you for a vote if that's your desire.
Was that sent to us in a separate email, or was it
It
part of?
was, because the original packet was too big and it couldn't be sent out, so I think there was 3.
Question
Sure.
about that too with the packet. I know I've mentioned this previous meetings before, but I think each packet had to be over 100 and some pages.
Yeah, somebody else asked me that, and I said, you know what? If it's too long, then everybody reads it, and if it's too short, you say you don't get enough information, so I think we gotta find that sweet spot on our packet.
And I would agree 100% with that, but I also think that if we're already getting a separate email with the finance bills or whatever, that shouldn't be included in either packet then. And we shouldn't have the additional things be included in both packets either one or the other. It shouldn't be in both.
I think we gotta get a little better at that. I agree, it's a little too much reading, and it's a little too thick.
Sometimes when there's a one-page memo,
in this meeting.
It's right in between
Yep.
two sections of,
Well, I prefer a great and wonderfully written memo with all the details, and then a little bit that goes with it that you need, and if you need more, you can always ask for it.
and I do enjoy getting all the information. I just feel like sometimes certain
much.
stuff seems like it's buried, and then I don't get the information because it was one page in between a
Well,
17-page
I'm concerned the file
document.
gets too big, you'll have trouble downloading. Like, it took me a long time to get the PDF to download so I could read it myself, and that was sitting over here in City Hall. I do have the worst computer, though, but still, it is a lot. I'll talk with Jeff when he gets back about the packet size.
Thank you.
Yep.
One thing I want to point out that I didn't care for in this document, it's under termination. So literally, these guys could go through this entire thing, spend the money, get the insurance, do everything they have to do, and be given 10 days' notice of cancellation after they've already gone through and spent everything, did everything they had to do.
So I'll just say that I pieced together some various agreements. It's brought to you as a very rough draft. And that, I mean, it's a typical term that's included in these types of agreements. So I'm open to whatever changes you want to suggest. So
I just think agreeing with somebody on something and putting something like that in there that for any reason, anytime, within 10 days, we can terminate your contract if you've already scheduled everything, spent all your money, I think it's kind of backhanded to do.
Do we have a previous agreement?
no, I don't know. I'd never have drafted one. I was never part of that before, so.
I've never ever heard of one, so that's why
I
I'm
don't know.
asking.
Everything we have is like with the fire department or a business did their own, like sidetracks didn't actually do anything, they just asked the street to be blocked. They didn't do any business there but parking.
So, no, but I mean, we've had this craft show forever, right?
I inherited all those things, so you can answer your own question.
What's that?
So I inherited all these things, you might want to answer your own question, because I don't know of any, but. there should have
Right,
been.
so I guess that's what I'm saying, is that I am unaware of any, but I know that this craft show has been going on, isn't it like 30?
But this is a little different. This was a not-for-profit, now it's a foundation. So I think that's a little different when you talk about the agreement. And the other agreements, if it's going on for 30 years, I don't know where the 30-year-old agreement would be.
No, and I guess that's my question, is if we've not had an agreement, what's the purpose of the agreement?
So
Because I haven't read it, so I mean,
I think everybody needs to be on one, so there's assurances that weren't here before. Like, we never required certificate of insurance, or the only contact we'd have is only through the street closure, but that doesn't mean that's the same group that's running the event. So I think this is just the right thing to do legally, and it puts us in a right position.
so is this something that we're going to do now for,
Everybody, yeah.
so for,
Yep, I've already talked to the fire department about their event.
so any kind of street closure, any kind of, there's gonna be an agreement?
I think they should. I think that's in our best interest. That protects us in many ways as a city. Yep, I already talked with the fire department that they'll have to have one next year.
Okay,
I mean, I had their insurance, I had their street closure, but I still think we need an agreement with them too about, I know we've had issues in the past with the bathrooms and that type of thing. If you recall, there was some, I don't know if we call it vandalism, but there was some, yeah, they trashed them, right?
right.
So I think that's the same thing too, where they have some responsibility through the agreement that maybe wasn't explicit to them, and then going forward it would be.
Okay, and again, I have not seen the draft yet. I didn't have that email, so
Yeah, it went out Saturday morning, so.
I'll look at it to make some comments, but I would just think that we would keep it as generic as possible for these groups, you know?
I apologize. I think the other thing that makes this a little bit different from my perspective is that there's a payment, there's use of taxpayer dollars to pay for this. So I think it's outlining, my intention was outlining what the shared costs would be and how much contributions would be. So it's not just the insurance or liability, but it is also the shared costs.
Could you tell me what shared cost that is for the taxpayers?
Well, I'm saying if we're going to be sharing the cost of the tent, right? If the city put forth the full cost, then that is the city utilizing taxpayer funds for a non-city
But we'd be
event.
paying half of that.
Right, and that's what, the whole
So-
point of this agreement is to outline that you're paying half of it.
Okay, so I just want that cleared. that
Yeah, oh, no, I'm
The
sorry, no.
foundation's not taking anybody's
Yeah,
money.
no, I'm sorry. The
From the
whole
city,
point
no.
was to show
Okay, I just want to make
that
sure
there's an
it's,
agreement for, the foundation paying for half, the city paying for half, and the obligations of each party. So
And-
that's what that is.
And I only think the city became involved in paying for part of the 10 under Mayor Olson, I believe. I don't believe the city ever paid for anything, and I think originally it was a donation to whatever that organization was, so I'm not sure how we ended up being even involved in it, to be honest with you, as far as the cost sharing. I mean,
I think because everybody was gone at the very end, that's all that was left.
so.
Well, I'm not from Sandwich, and I never heard of the fair, the craft show fair before, so I didn't see anything in our files
You
about
can
it.
come down to it.
Okay, but yeah, I don't have any information. I did try to look in my files to see if I had anything, and I didn't have
Well,
any.
I think for the most part, it's kind of just an offshoot of the real big one that's at the fairgrounds.
yeah.
And they're taking advantage of all of those people being in town for the Ruth Hill, I believe is the name of it, craft show. And then that's when they've always been downtown and then also out at Indian Springs, so.
Okay, other comments or concerns about the agreement?
When is the proposed date of the show? Of,
Thursday.
September, sorry.
well, there's a little time left here, but we could drag this out for another month, and that puts a burden on them trying to get anything done. So, we better, I think we're all agreed that we want this to happen for them, but we can't drag this out for another month for them.
Nope, the intention was to have the discussion this meeting, get it to the foundation, let them look and see if they felt they could meet any of the terms in there, because if they can't, then it doesn't do any good to vote on it. Then it can come back and finalize.
And personally, I'd rather see somebody other than Karsta listed on the contract, because there's other board members, because I think it's a conflict of
She's on there
interest.
because she's the agent of record for the entity,
I
correct?
wouldn't disagree with that, though, personally, just because I think it would be a
Keeps
better.
it cleaner.
Needs to be
It
the vice
absolutely would
president.
be.
In our bylaws, it says the vice president has to take over. There's any kind of conflict, and this would be a conflict of interest, so the vice president needs to take over. That would be Krista Tedder.
That may still, that's your sister, right?
Yes.
I have to look into that. I can't remember how far conflicts of interest extend. So-
Basically, I think ultimately it would be up to the person to decide whether or not it's their conflict of interest, right?
It's probably the law.
I mean, I guess so, yeah. In a way, it would be up to Karsta to determine if that's,
Well, it wasn't up to me, it was up to our board.
no,
Board made that decision, so.
I understand that, but so whether or not it's a conflict, obviously it's a clear conflict of interest here, right? What I have to look up is whether or not conflicts of interest extend to your family, and that would still be a conflict of interest that she essentially would be bearing still. And
So what if they, at your next board meeting, I don't know when it is it possible?
I don't
if-
think that it's appropriate that we really discuss this and probably
Well, I'm trying
give
to.
them advice on how to do
I'm-
that, to do business with the city.
The foundation,
That's
so
the-
they can
that's
call
the
a
concern.
meeting anytime they
What
want.
I'm trying to do as city council is to get this streamlined instead of things going 4 and 5 and 6 meetings. So this thing is coming up and we need to pass something soon. So when you're talking about having to go back and find out about conflict interests and whatnot,
I mean,
you can look
The
at the
city
whole
can
row
do-
of officers they
I-
have.
I guess I should say that. The city can do what it wants, but I can't tell you the answer off the top of my head of how ethical any of it is. So I do have to look into that.
What I'm saying is they have other board members that aren't
Right, and
related.
the problem that I have with discussing this here is that it appears as though we're trying to give them advice on how to get around this. And so and the city can do what it wants with that. I just think it would be cleaner if that did not occur.
a conflict you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, because when it sounds bad when you say getting around something.
No,
and-
no.
And I
that's-
think,
Yeah,
I think my guess is what the council's wanting to do is just try to streamline this as much as possible so we can get to a resolution, because the clock is ticking, and anybody that's ever planned a party, you want to have everything planned and in line and
Remember,
help
it's
lined
not
up
all the
and-
city. There was no foundation until a couple weeks ago.
No, I understand that,
Right.
but somehow the city got involved in it. That's all I'm saying, is that we had not been involved in it before, and all of a sudden we are now. So that's
We've been involved for 4 years or more.
well, as far as the cost
Well, I mean, we've
sharing,
been involved all the time because it's always on city property.
yes, but basically just a street closing is the only thing, and us allowing them to use our city parking lots. And the rest of it isn't used for anything, and it just coincides with the Taste of Sandwich. And I'm assuming that's how we got involved with having the tents, because don't know how long the Taste of Sandwich has been going on.
I was on the council when we poured that cement and had spacers put in by Darren Lohmeyer for the rods to go into the ground.
And was
So
that
that's
for,
25+ years.
was that for the taste, or was that for
It's for the taste.
Okay,
Yep.
didn't realize the taste was that old.
The craft fair came after the taste.
I did not know that.
It's old, that's why we don't want to lose it.
So
Either one.
the Ruth Hill came afterwards?
No, no,
or
No, no.
The craft fair
doing
came
the
after
stuff
the taste.
downtown?
Right,
Yeah.
downtown.
Which
Yeah.
made sense, because we had this big tent up, and the
They wanted to
company
utilize it because they used to stay up
company
till
wouldn't
Monday.
take down until Monday or sometimes Tuesday.
Right.
So it sounds like maybe we need to review who's going to be the authorized signer of that and the notice. Two things
I
that
guess,
we're-
Carsa, I would just make sure that you look at the municipal code 2-466, because truthfully, it isn't the city council's issue per se. It is a personal thing that she needs to make sure she's comfortable with.
Could you tell me that code again, please?
2-466, that's in our code. I'm trying to look and talk at the same time, but.
Okay, so I got the 2 points. Sounds like we can,
Is there anything else that? Any other comments? I see the termination. Is there anything else?
okay. we'll
So
have
we're
that back at the next
Good
meeting.
with it, but for that, I guess, Rich, you said you haven't seen it, so if you
I'll try
can,
look, I'll try to
please-
look at it tonight, tomorrow, to make a comment, if there's something that sticks out in my mind. Because I'm very simple.
Okay, new business, discussion of a police
Bless you.
vehicle replacement as restricted budget item. Chief, you want to go through what you're requesting, and then I'd ask Fred to start with Wayne as the budget chair? Just want to recap it?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to first, because we have some new council members here, just kind of give the background for it. So originally, when budget season was upon us, the original request from the police department was to replace the K-9 vehicle, a patrol vehicle, and the administrative vehicle for it. And that cost was going to be roughly $194,000 to replace those 3 vehicles. During that, we were advised of a potential other option in which we could be able to lease vehicles through a vendor that is approved by the co-op program. And part of that lease part would be, there's a possibility to do a 3-year lease or a 4-year lease, divided into either monthly, quarterly payments, or we could even probably make a yearly payment with them. The one thing about using the lease mechanism for the vehicles is that in particular company also outfits the vehicles or upfits the vehicles with all the equipment that needs to be in there. So that is also incorporated into the payment for the vehicles. When you look at a squad car, obviously the squad car prices are anywhere, they're around a 2025 vehicle right now is around $46,000. That's just for the vehicle itself. The outfitting for the vehicle is anywhere between another $13,000 to $15,000 that you're looking at for the vehicles. So we spoke to the in particular company, and then also on the background of it, so the police department we currently have 10 vehicles within our fleet, which include the 1 K-9 unit, 1 administrative unit vehicle, 1 detective vehicle and one vehicle that's also assigned to the SRO. And then there's 6 vehicles that are assigned to patrol division, so those are the officers every day that are out there, using it. Just to kind of go a little further too into that, last year alone, the police department put almost 140,000 miles on all the vehicles that we had. Looking at the vehicles right now, we have vehicles that are 2015 all the way up to 2025, with the mileage on those vehicles ranging anywhere between 3,000 miles to 169,000 miles on the vehicles. Just a little breakdown on the squads. So Squad 1, I'm going to use the numbers, which is the administrative vehicle. That vehicle currently has, at the time of this, had 169,000 miles on it. The K-9 squad, which is a 2017 vehicle, the first Squad 1 is a 2015 vehicle. The K-9 vehicle is a 2017 Ford Explorer with 107,000 miles on it. Squad 4 is a 2019 Ford Explorer with 116,000 miles on it. Also, that squad, for just kind of bring everybody back up to speed, that was one of the squads which unfortunately was not maintained properly, so we've spent a good amount of money in getting that squad back to where it needs to be. And then Squad 6 has 104,000 miles on it. That vehicle is currently assigned to the supervisor, so there's actually no cage in that in particular vehicle. So through the in particular company, if we wanted to purchase, or if we wanted to purchase just the K-9 vehicle, which is in the budget as is listed in the budget as the vehicle, we have the ability to get the vehicle for $48,000, and this is a pickup truck. I'm going to backtrack on the pickup truck right now because I know that was an area thing. After further conversation and also talking to Sutton Ford, the pickup trucks right now are anywhere from the order date are ranging anywhere between 6 to 8 months to take possession of. So I've re-talked to them on that in particular vehicle, and more than likely we will be going, the K-9 vehicle will become an interceptor. I've talked to the K-9 officer. One of the main reasons for the truck was the truck obviously is a little more roomier for him and his dog, but he understands the situation and is fine with the situation of being able to have having the vehicle. So just kind of going through that process of the vehicle, $48,000. To upfit the vehicle, which we used a company called UltraStrobe, which has been the ones that we've used for the last 2 vehicles. It's $18,000 some change, and then the additional equipment for the vehicle is about $4,900. The additional equipment is the striping of the vehicle, the rifle rack in it, the ballistic shield, a portable breath test machine in it, and then also some miscellaneous tools, which would be sledgehammers, crowbars, tools for us to be able to get into some places at a rapid time if need be. That's about $4,900. So you're looking at a K-9 vehicle being about $71,675 just for that purchase alone. So that pretty much would take the entire budget. When you look at the Sutton Ford for their pricing to fully upfit a vehicle, through them, an administrative vehicle is, and this is when I say upfitting, so this price that I'm reading next, that includes the purchasing of the car and the upfitting of the car through them. So you're looking at $58,125. The K-9 vehicle, again, which would be the Ford, would be the truck. I'll cover that just in a quick second there. That'd be $74,000. Another patrol vehicle would be $61,000 and some change. And that's just for the vehicle, which then you're gonna have to upfit those vehicles with the exception of if we replace the administrative one will not have that additional equipment in it. But you're still looking at another $4,900 roughly to replace that. So one of the things with Sutton Ford was they do offer the 4-year financing plan, and through that 4-year financing plan, we would be able to get all 4 vehicles for, depending on how we were doing it monthly or quarterly, for roughly $74,046.44 a year, come fully outfit for us. That would be 4 vehicles. With the purchase of 4 vehicles, that would then keep our fleet, it would delay the replacement of our fleet to probably the 29-30 fiscal year for us, so we would have a good little stretch there where we wouldn't have to replace any of our squad cars. With that replacement of those 4 squad cars, our youngest squad car will be a 2021 squad car, with the exception of the school resource car. That car's not going to be replaced. There's no need to replace it based on its use that it's currently going through. That car would probably end up getting, as it stays a school resource officer, I would say anywhere between 3 to 7+ years on that for it. Just kind of going back to the replacement of the K-9 car, there'll be about a $5,000 difference in the overall price, taking that vehicle from the truck to the Interceptor. I actually reached back out to the gentleman that we're working with. He wasn't able to get me a final number because they send their upfitting part to another company that does the upfitting of them, which I think in your guys' packet, there was some PowerPoints explaining the upfitting for the squad cars there. This company, actually, they do the upfitting and all the process for the Chicago Police Department, so they run their entire fleet too for it. So the total cost of the squad cars would be, for 4 years, upfit and all, would be $255,087 and 5 cents. The other thing that we would end up doing is for the additional tools that are needed in the squad car, we would use our drug asset forfeiture fund or our drug abuse fund, which currently has $60,000 in there to take out of that fund to use for that in particular equipment, which we're allowed to do for that. And then the monthly breakdown, it would be, you're paying $6,219.24 a month for if you're paying monthly. If you're paying quarterly, it's $18,511.61. Again, through the financing, if the city has an excess of money somewhere during the course, there's no early fine for paying off the bill early. But that's where we are. Provided some information, other information too, kind of on the repairs for the squad cars. You'll notice the only 2 squad cars that aren't on that major repair list right now are Squad 5 and Squad 8, which are 2 of the newer squad cars, with the exception, when Squad 2 is on here, that is the old Squad 2, which has been decommissioned, which is currently assigned to EMA as one of their cars. And then going on that for the 4 squad cars that we're looking to replace, Squad 1, 4, and 6 could be used for other city entities. Their police life is coming to an end on those. And then Squad 3, we would keep as a backup for our K-9 officer if his squad car were to go down, and then that squad car would also be used as a training car, so officers don't take their personal cars for training. That provides another squad car, another avenue for them to take for training purposes for the squad car. That's all that I have. I know I talked fast and I talked a lot.
Questions for Chief Senni?
You didn't mention, you said a couple of squads were left out because they're not in need of any service. What year is Squad 5 and how many miles does that have? Same thing with 8 and 9.
Squad 5 is a 23. Oh, you have it there in the budget. And it has roughly 30,000 miles on it. Squad 8 is a 21, and that one has around 45,000 miles on it.
And is there a Squad 9?
Squad 9 is brand new, and it has a little over 3,000 miles on it. That was the one that we just recently got. That was the second squad from the 2024-2025 budget.
Which one is the all black, the unmarked?
Squad 5.
And then my other question was the additional equipment. Is it all brand-new equipment, and is that just for the K-9 vehicle, or is that going to be in all the vehicles?
All the vehicles will be equipped with brand-new equipment based on the aging factors of that equipment. And the biggest piece of the equipment that is really getting replaced in those is the cages, and the old cages don't fit into the new designs of the Ford vehicles.
I guess my question would be the ballistic shield, the PVT.
So none of those squad cars have So none of those squad cars currently have ballistic shields in them.
Okay.
And then the PBTs that are in those squad cars are actually out of compliance through NHTSA. They're an older model, PBT that is not even recognized by NHTSA anymore.
Okay. So you need one in every single squad?
I'd prefer one in every single squad for accountability factor and making sure that somebody has it accessible to them.
Okay, because I'm just curious, because I mean, obviously, canine handler's not gonna be able to have the dog and the ballistic shield at the same time, I wouldn't think.
He would.
Really? I've never seen that before.
He should have his
Not
ballistic.
even in the movies.
He should have it's a matter of having a ballistic shield available for somebody else too, or even another agency that's with us to be able to assist.
But you wouldn't, I mean, not everybody's gonna be holding a ballistic shield. I mean, in whatever kind of formation you're going into a building or whatever, typically there's ballistic shield at front, one at the back, or maybe two at the front.
You could carry as many ballistic shields as you want in this situation.
Well, someone's carried one before, they're pretty damn heavy, and,
They're actually on the lighter side now, sir.
there's other stuff too that, is needed. I've never seen,
The shields, I'm not asking to be put in there. We're actually gonna purchase that out of the drug assets for forfeiture money.
it's included in their additional equipment, that's why I'm asking the question.
Okay.
So,
But that one I actually backtracked out of that final number.
I missed that part then.
I apologize. I may not have said that. I apologize for that.
Chief, what about the miscellaneous tools? Will we have to repurchase a crowbar, and you mentioned something else, sledgehammer?
Yes, because those cars that we have right now, they don't have any of that in there. So going forward, when we go forward on purchasing other squads, some of those costs won't be reincurred, i.e. example, the PBT, when we go to replace, hopefully those ones aren't out of date. The shields we have to look at because they do have a life warranty on them, just like our ballistic vest. So we have to analyze them too when we get that.
And like I said, I've been out of the game for a while, but, where I worked before, I think we had 2 ballistic shields on the department, so that's why I'm curious. or
I
asking.
think as times have changed, ballistic shields have become a norm in policing. They actually can be used for a lot more things than just obviously the ballistic part. I mean, and actually they allow you to get closer to people sometimes too, to be able to talk to them.
Yeah, is 7 the SRO?
7 is the SRO, yes.
Because you've got 2025, 1 and 7 requested initially.
Correct, and just, it was a reanalyze of where because I think when we initially did that, we were looking at that one, but then we reassessed everything and then kind of evaluated that the SRO vehicle, for what it's doing right now, it's a prolong. I mean, it's not, the SRO vehicle, right, during the school year, he's driving to from school, going about, the car's not sitting idling when they're doing their stationary patrols, the car's not, if they're going to catch up to somebody, it doesn't have that rapid acceleration to it.
So have you had enough time to look that over and decide if you would like to purchase or lease vehicles?
I have a question. Has the city always budgeted about 75,000 a year for a new vehicle in the past?
No, it used to be
But
cheaper.
that's what we're asking to commit to now, right? If we go to a lease, we're gonna have to budget 75,000 a year for the next 4 years.
Well, that 255 the number he gave us came up to around 64. When you broke it down,
Well, it would, no, the final cost of all the leasing of the vehicles would be,
Lease option was 63,772, which is pretty much what Adam said, and then on top of that would be I think the financing.
Right, you're gonna have financing on top of that, so if you do the monthly payments, it's 74,630.88 a year, or quarterly, it's 74,046.44 a year.
and again, that number is gonna be lower because based on the fact that we're switching away from the truck to the Interceptor,
Yeah.
so.
Right.
And
He just wasn't able to give me that number today.
Yeah, and to answer your question, these numbers have fluctuated over the years, and based upon our availability of funds, that's what's kind of driven some of these vehicles from being deferred for year upon year. This is something that I asked Chief Senni to look at last year, and just the timing and everything with all the numerics coming in from the Ford dealer, they weren't readily available. So the only concern I have is that if we replace 4 units at the same exact time, those 4 units are going to they're going to age at the same rate. So I think there would have to be some sort of cycling of vehicles to try to spread the mileage out a little bit. Secondarily to that, we would have to commit that. Now, previous administration had a lease option for some vehicles that were in the past, and it worked well. So it was a way to get over that hump of having vehicles that were aged and falling apart, replaced in a more timely manner. When you look at, we have 31 services at about $33,000, so it's about $1,000 a service that averaged out with what we have here. Now, some of those have 80,000 miles worth of travel from the first service to the last service, right? So we all know as they get older, they start wearing out, and those dollar amounts, we've replaced engines, we've replaced transmissions in the past, we've had other major repairs have taken place, and fortunately, since Chief Cindy has changed the cycling of the maintenance, we haven't had those types of maintenance costs, but it's just a matter of time before they will come up.
And I do appreciate the fact that the chief has given us the repair for certain vehicles, so you can see which ones, just because something's newer doesn't mean it's not a vehicle that costs us more money, so it's nice that he put some of those in. In my job, we call that the lemon in the lot. When we get rid of it, we get rid of it. Okay, so a couple things you have to decide if you're a type of person who wants to buy and keep. We repurposed those, the unit out in the parking lot. We took that from the police department. Chief was good enough to get it retrofitted, and we repurposed that to one of our other staff to share that between code enforcement and building inspection, so they have to share that one vehicle. Or do you want to lease and put more into the fleet, but agree with Fred that we got to figure out a better way to manage that fleet management plan. So those are your two choices, and then you would have to vote to unrestrict the item and then vote to approve it.
Well, another question I have is, when we were talking budget time, we talked in depth about this lease issue, and it was brought up that essentially, if we go with the lease, essentially in the end of this lease, you're gonna end up owning these things anyways, is
Correct. So that's just something to clarify there. So this isn't your typical lease where you turn back in the vehicle to the dealership. This is a lease where so we're basically financing the vehicle. The vehicle, after the terms are up, it's ours, we own it.
yes.
Chief, do we own them flat out, or is there a buyout on them?
What was that, sir?
Do we own them outright, or is there a buyout?
Nope, that's the price right there at any time. So at any time, we can decide that, hey, what's the payoff on these 4 vehicles and pay them all off early, if the city's in a financial situation that allows for that. And just kind of, if I can loop back too with one of Fred's concerns too, what we're going to see with the proper maintenance of vehicles and the proper care and monitoring and making sure and accountability factors, we are probably going to see anywhere between 7 to 8 years of life from our squad cars. So once this lease is up, we should have an additional 3 to 4 years on that in particular car, and then those in particular vehicles, again, could be recycled back into the city for other purposes.
Yeah, and as far as recycling them back into the city, I think there might be an opportunity for maybe 1 or 2 to be absorbed, but I don't see a need to have them all, so I think there would be some potential residual resale value that could
Correct.
be put back into into our revenue stream here. And it might be something where you have one other vehicle that you move out and move this one in type of thing. So kind of getting that lemon out of here a little bit like we talked about. I mean, we've talked about this over the past several years. I remember during budget time, we were probably going to think about budgeting a vehicle a year, which would equate to about that $75,000. So if we kept that mentality going, we're basically getting 4 units over that course of that time, and hopefully saving us some money in the long run with our maintenance expenses. So I'd be in support of it, knowing that we should be able to carve out that $75K a year.
Support of what? Need to be more clear.
Support the purchase, yeah.
Purchase or lease?
Well, it's a lease to it's a purchase
Lease
lease.
to purchase. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
That's the recommendation from you. Other comments from council?
Well, what is, I guess I'm confused on the difference between the lease and just financing it outright. What's the,
I think the way that we're
is it
using
the
it.
layout of the payments?
No, they're the same. It's the same, we're just using a different term. So the lease is a finance, but they're just using a lease, Ford is using a lease as their as their terminology for it. It's not like your typical lease where after the lease is up, you turn back in the car.
Well, I'm looking at right here on one of the sheets that was sent in the packet. It's talking about the number of payments, 36, 48, 12, or 16. Is that like a difference between the lease and the finance? You can pay quarterly or?
That is the different payment option. So when I broke it down to monthly or quarterly, that's where it comes out. So if you end up paying quarterly, it ends up saving, I think ended up being close to $500. You actually save a year. It's $500 cheaper.
Okay. All right.
And we could outright ask them, for what a yearly payment would be too.
And this is really the rate they quoted us?
What was that? Oh, and the other thing too, yeah, right now too, that is the current rate that they quoted us. So I mean, the rate could potentially go up, or it potentially could go down too.
Yeah, because I just bought a brand new truck and mine was only 6%.
So there is a difference in that too.
Okay, so at this meeting, you can't do anything, but at the next meeting, you could move to unrestrict the vehicle, and then you could elect to do the purchase release option. Okay, any other questions for Chief, and then we'll move on?
Chief, when can you get us a final number, swapping out the F-150 for the Interceptor, and get the final number?
I can't give you the exact thing because I'm waiting. I'm at the mercy of them deciding when they have to do. And that number is coming from what the upfitting is. But he actually sent me an email saying it's going to be a $5,000 difference between these. So we will come in under or at that $75,000. We won't go over it.
Okay, so you'll have the numbers for us when
We should,
you
yes.
finally get it. Okay.
Okay.
I do have a question. Could we end up getting 3 instead of the 4 squads? And then which one would be better to keep running, the squad 4 or the squad 6?
We could do that. That's also an option. To answer your question, what I would probably end up doing is I would keep 1. I would, because 1 is assigned to me, and I would want the officers to have the newest equipment.
I'm just curious, again, trying to look at the bottom dollar, et cetera, and I understand that, some are high mileage, but I like your offer too, as far as your own vehicle, since it isn't, yes, you're a working chief, but you're not handling the calls day to day like the patrol is, like you were saying. So you would still want 4 and 6 to be replaced regardless?
Correct.
Because obviously we own those squads, correct?
We own every squad that we're talking about.
So, wondering, some of this maintenance was done just real recently. The squad 4, the blower motor, evap canister, the front brakes, rotors, within 2,000 miles ago, so.
Squad 4, though, is that one that was not properly maintained of. That's for all practical purposes, I'll say that the twin to Squad 2. So there's a lot of hidden potentially in that squad car still.
Okay. Leads me to my other question. Do you have someone assigned now that has a better hold or handle on squad maintenance?
Absolutely. So, yeah, Sergeant Eisberg's in charge of maintenance, stays on top of it. Every month, there's a squad inspection form that's done on the squads. When I am the working chief, as you like to say, out on the street handling calls, I jump in a squad car because mine is not properly equipped to be a squad car.
Okay. And again, I'm just looking because I know part of this too is us keeping the old K-9 then as a backup or training vehicle, and obviously it's still outfitted, so I'm assuming that somebody even without a K-9 partner could drive that as a squad in an emergency or someone's squad is down, et cetera.
Correct, absolutely.
So not just necessarily backup for the K-9 only.
Correct, and that would be, and also just to reiterate one of the points that the mayor said, we actually have had another vehicle, we had another Ford Escape that was assigned to us that now has been reassigned to the city too. So we've actually, we've gone down in the number of vehicles assigned to us.
That was one of the other old detective squads?
I guess that's what it was used for. It was a detective slash training card. That's what they would use.
Did that one have the higher mileage than what the current one is?
At the time it did, but I think the new one may have passed it based on the amount of time but those cars, again, as you know, they're not used in the typical fashion of
Sure.
a squad car.
And the only two take-home cars currently are still yours and the K-9, correct?
No, that's not correct. So the SRO squad car is a take-home. He lives in town. He's been taking it home since. And then obviously the detective car is also being taken home by the detective, which is just one town over. He's
Is there a reason for
5
that?
minutes. On-call purposes, so he can respond straight from his house to the scene that he needs to go to. And even prior to me getting here, the detective car was taken home, and it was taken to unincorporated St. Charles area.
Yeah. That one was approved. The one to Oswego wasn't. That's a different story. Okay.
All right, other questions for Chief? All right, just a reminder for announcements to National Night Out is this week. Audience comments, I had none turned in. Good. I'll bring it up to Tony. And just make sure your mic's on when you start. All right, Becky, go ahead. Denise.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have every intention of following through with my original inquiry related to the R3 rating for pretty much encompassing the full south side of Sandwich all the way to Railroad Street, including City Hall, Opera House. R3 rating, again, is a equitable justice rating that is provided to a community that shows an uptick in either gun injury or child poverty or reentry of inmates into the community. So never had any aldermen respond to me on that inquiry. So just going to give you a little bit of a pep talk here. So next meeting, I'm going to stay, and I hope that when they go around the room and the mayor says, Alderman Arnett, Alderman Robinson, Alderman Karst Erickson, anything you have to say, maybe you could just respond and inject about the R3 rating that you've researched. I would really like to know that you people are concerned about that, because I am. Whether it's how do we fix it and get rid of that rating, which means we take care of our problem areas, or how do we correct the rating to be accurate, to show the areas that truly may or may not have issues. Again, I can't get any statistics that follow a gun injury increase or poverty of children or anything of that nature over in my subdivision. So why am I R3? You know, that's part of my question. So anyway, I digress a little bit. To the chief, I would like to know, Chief, have you ever looked into electric vehicles for your squads? If so, what's your research? Have you thought about it? Since we're gonna get electric vehicle charging stations and we're gonna put a rah-rah out there for those, shouldn't we be following through with the electric vehicles in our municipality? Just asking. I want to also correct some some statements that were made. An issue for me was when Economic Development mentioned that Plainfield was offering free EV. City of Plainfield is not offering free EV. Hawk Mazda offers 25% of their EV charging stations free to anyone who purchases a vehicle from Hawk Mazda. These are facts, things that can be looked up in a matter of 15, 20 minutes. Please do your research before you vote on things, okay? As for the ComEd program, all I found was reimbursement, and certain levels of the charging stations. So if you get one of the fast chargers, you're gonna get a little bit more money, but they're gonna be more upkeep. Also, nobody's really been able to tell us what the profit is. Do you know another fun fact? There are only 2 municipalities under the 8,000 population that have these EV charging stations that are paid for by the city, and it's Polo, Illinois, can't figure that one out, and Elburn. Elburn makes sense because they're on a municipal metro line. So obviously, people who ride the train, maybe they have an electric vehicle that they commute to the metro station and they charge their car there. So that would make sense to me. But again, I understand that there's this coalition to move forward. Alderman Kreinbrink mentioned, you know, try to put that one foot in front of the other to, you know, innovate Sandwich. We got high water bills and we got crappy sidewalks in our R3 rated communities. And that should be the priority. So I encourage you, I plead with you that you vote no on this EV charging station coalition until Sandwich has taken care of some other things and dotted some i's and crossed some t's. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the audience? All right, is there a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting?
Yes.
Alderman Robinson, is there a second? Second. Alderman Chun, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned. We'll take a quick recess.